everybody, welcome back to Geek and Dorks, a YouTube channel. It's me, John Lorden, and we are here with another Geek and Dorks reviews. And this one is for a movie that is actually out in the theater right now called The Gift. And you might not even know about this one. It's kind of flying low. It's not necessarily a big budget Hollywood film. It is apparently in wide release, so I'm pretty sure you can catch it local to you. If any of you are fans of the 80s and Jason Bateman, you might want to check it out. He's also done some good work in past years, but definitely good to see him get back on the screen. And it also stars Rebecca Hall playing his wife, and it is actually written, directed, and also co-starring, it's either Joel Edgerton or Edgerton, and I can't tell which. I even tried to research it, found a YouTube video where there's a robot voice saying Joel Edgerton, and then in the comments it's saying nope, that's wrong. I saw an interview, he pronounces it Edgerton. So I don't know. If you guys know, please drop it below. But if you caught my Johnny Vlogs this week, you'll know that I was talking about self-directing, and this is one of the few movies that I've seen in recent history that is actually self-directed, where one of the main actors is also the director, and not just the director, but the writer for the story. Just to give you a brief synopsis on it, it is about this character Simon, played by Jason Bateman, and his wife Robin, and they're moving back to California kind of as a restart. Simon has a new job, they're getting a new house, and Simon bumps into a friend of his called Gordo, which I thought was kind of weird. Just in terms of being in California, I think most of us are at least know a little bit of Spanish, and I'm pretty sure Gordo means like fatso or overweight, but for some reason that's this guy's nickname. His real name is Gordon. And he's not overweight at all. But essentially, Gordo is old classmates with Simon. And that kind of sets off this, not fatal attraction, but almost like Hand That Rocks the Cradle type. It's not even really that suspenseful. It's suspenseful, but not overly done so like those movies. But it's a thriller of sorts. I would call it like a light thriller, where Gordo starts popping up around the house and leaving gifts. Hence, we get that clever title. Speaking of which, that title has been used many times. If you do a search for it on IMDB, you'll see, I think, at least half a dozen projects that are called The Gift, but this is the one from 2015. So, in my Johnny Vlogs this week, I talked a little bit about self-directed performances, and I just really had to call out, I knew going into this movie that the director was featuring himself in the film. And I feel like the quality of the movie took a hit on both sides of that equation. Essentially, the film opens with one of the dullest opening shots that I've ever seen in a movie. It's literally like the outside hall of this building that the Simon character and his wife Robin are looking to rent. And it's not even an establishing shot. You can't tell what type of building it is. It's just this weird hall with these kind of archways and then a door down at the end. It was really not a great establishing shot. As a matter of fact, the cinematography in general was pretty weak. I would say there was nothing real interesting in terms of camera angles, and in a suspense movie like this, that's a tool that you'll see frequently used, kind of extreme camera angles or interesting points of view. None of that really comes into play. This movie is shot almost like it was made for television. Then we get into the performance of Joel, I'm going to call him Edgerton because I think it's Edgerton, of Joel Edgerton. And I would call it a serviceable performance. He doesn't necessarily do anything wrong, but he doesn't necessarily do anything great. He's kind of a plain-looking guy, almost looks like a smaller version of Conan O'Brien. It's cool because in one way he didn't go for like the melodramatic, creepy character that some people might have taken, especially if this movie was made in the 90s. There would be this super melodramatic, you knew as soon as you saw him type element to it, and that's definitely not where this story goes, which is refreshing. But there's also something in terms of his delivery that isn't necessarily captivating or interesting. I kept having this thought while I was sitting there. I wish that they had also like another big name actor in that role. I think it would have been a great counterbalance to Jason Bateman, who is a very good actor and shows some good skills here. Um, it's not particularly a different character than you've seen him play before, but it does reach into different emotional layers than we've seen him go before, which is pretty cool. Also, Rebecca Hall gives it's once again, it's just a serviceable performance. And I'm telling you, I think this is because the director was not focused enough on directing great performances. He got good performances and then was obviously having to, work with the acting job as well of putting himself into the scenes. It could be that this would have played out better if there was a assistant director or a second unit director that was watching those scenes that could have given some feedback to those, but I don't think that really happened here. The cool thing about it is Rebecca Hall's character, Robin, essentially kind of takes the lead in this movie, which her as an actress, this performance was a little passive for me to be a lead performance, but the script is definitely written that way, where she is essentially the lead, which was cool. You don't really see movies that do that too much, and I think that's part of what is giving this movie some legs in terms of it being a, quote, chick flick. And I can say that pretty safely. I took my wife to actually see it, and I was one of only 3 men that were in the audience, and the rest were women. It wasn't a huge audience, but there was at least probably 7 or 8 women for the 3 men that were in there. I think there was maybe 25, 30 people. It was Sunday afternoon type thing. But all that being said, if you're looking for a movie to take your date to, there's a couple of jump scare moments in it where all of a sudden, my arm was being grabbed by my wife. So that's definitely a benefit for some guys looking to take a date to a film. It doesn't have the fastest opening at all, but it stays interesting. There's always something that's kind of unfolding in the story. It's a little bit predictable. I called it pretty much halfway through, I knew where it was going. But even outside of knowing where it was going, they still took some fun turns to get there. And as the movie went on, the whole thing with knowing that the director was in the movie became less and less apparent to me. There's something about the start of the movie where the scenes are a little overindulgent, particularly with him in it and just his kind of blank expression. But that seems to go away as the movie goes on and the pacing becomes better. So, is it one of the greatest suspense thrillers of all time? Hell no, not even close. Is it a fun afternoon movie that, like I said, you could take a date to? Yeah, absolutely. Or even, Friday night movie, dinner and a movie type thing? Totally. Is it going to knock your socks off? Probably not, but I think you'll have fun along the way, and you'll come out at the end having enjoyed the movie. I think I would give it's actually rating on IMDB right now a 7.6. I think that's a little high for me. I'd probably give it a 6.5. Like I said, just pacing problems. All the performances are what I call serviceable, but there's nothing really great. Jason Bateman gives a pretty good performance, but there's nothing for great performances. And I also just had this feeling while I was watching it that it was kind of about yuppie issues. Like, these people that are in California. It definitely nails the feeling of being in California. These kind of fringy relationships, and people come over for wine or tea and stuff like that. That element seemed to work well in terms of it being accurate, but I don't know that it works particularly great for telling a suspenseful story, because in a suspenseful story I would think you'd want to up the stakes a little more. But anyway, looking for a good date night flick? I recommend, especially right now, because there's not a whole lot of movies playing in the theaters right now that even look like date movies. This is pretty much your only bet if you're looking for a movie that might please your female companion more than yourself. Which is an interesting thought, isn't it? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Geek and Dorks Reviews. Please tell me what you thought if you saw the movie, or if you even know about it. I hardly even knew about it before my wife suggested going to see it. But I'm looking forward to your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. I hope you're all having a great day, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.